What's going on, guys? In the works, and we are playing a little bit of Capture the Flag today with the SVD. Yeah, we're gonna mix things up a little bit, put on one of the semi-autos that I don't normally use, and it's one of the weapons that's standing in between me and having every weapon mastered. So I was like, all right, gotta knock this one out of the way. It's probably really not that hard. I was thinking about, you could probably just go into a hardcore TDM server and rake up a lot of kills with these semi-auto snipers, but I wanted to do it the real way. And for whatever reason, I felt the urge to play a little bit of Capture the Flag, so I was like, all right, we'll go in here, we'll play the midfield, because I think that's what the SVD does pretty well, is it's a pretty good medium range weapon. And once you get outside of medium range, not so much. It's not as good once you get into the longer range scenarios, but I've made some pretty ridiculous shots with this over the weekend, because I basically use this weapon exclusively over the play sessions I had this weekend. You may notice the frame rate up in the right corner. You're like, Jake, why do you have the frame rate there? Well, I was doing some testing of my new PC, which a lot of you guys know I've been working on. And I was basically stress testing it. I've been tweaking it a little bit, trying to get the crossfire I have going right now. And this is Battlefield 3 maxed out. This is every setting as high as it could possibly go. I get anywhere between, 90 frames looking straight ahead, maybe like 150 if you're looking down towards the grass. So pretty stable for the most part. I don't like the fluctuations, but apparently 7970s are pretty well known for having some huge frame rate fluctuations. I don't know why that is, but so far I'm pretty happy with it. I will get that video out where I talk about the rig here before too long. I've been working on it. I want to make sure that the PC is stable, that it's working well before I make a video about it, because a new PC build, it's a big endeavor. It's something that it takes a lot of tweaking, it takes a lot of settings and changes and getting it back to the way you like it to be. Because if you ever had to reformat your hard drive after a hard drive failure, it's a big thing. It's like you lost something. All that personal data, all those little settings, your bookmarks, all that stuff is gone if you don't back it up. So I would definitely encourage you to back up your PC, because you never know when those hard drives are going to fail. I had that happen with my my solid state drive, unfortunately. But today we're going to talk about the SVD a little bit, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the E3 expectations, because tomorrow they're doing the big EA conference. And it's a little Sunday night chat with you guys, because it is, I don't really typically do evening videos, but I've seen a lot of new stuff out there. I was tweeting earlier this morning, I was a little bit skeptical on those leaked screenshots they have. Not to say they're not real, because they're obviously real at this point. I mean, I think they probably did it just to kind of get the hype train going. Since they have their press conference tomorrow morning, the Call of Duty early pre-E3 press conference was earlier today, so they probably wanted to get some buzz going about Battlefield 4. And I was looking at the screens, and the one thing that kind of bothered me was just it was a little bit too simplistic and a little bit too obvious. And what I mean by obvious is, they changed things from like the laser pointer. A lot of the gun silhouettes were the same. It was like the PDWR, yet it was the guy holding the Scorpion Evo. And I know with alpha builds, a lot of times they don't actually put that into, they don't worry about putting the details and the little minor details into the game. They're more worried about testing the gameplay, the mechanics and stuff like that. Then they go in later and they go in and they render all the environments, they detail the buildings. So, and a lot of those screenshots you saw, they were really, really bland. There wasn't a lot of detail at all. But from what I saw, I was a little intrigued, especially with the screenshot that showed the 5-man squads. Now, this may just be a pre-alpha build where they're trying to get more people in there so they don't have to worry about creating like 6 or 7 squads. I don't know. But in the screenshot, you can clearly see that there is a 5-person squad at one point, and that's got me a little bit curious, because that's a weird number. When I think about what they would take the squad sizes up to, in my mind I'd say, okay, well, let's go 6. 6 sounds like a really good number. I mean, it sounds like a number that's nice and even. But 5 can be pretty even, but it's just strange to me, because typically they usually do it in even numbers versus odd numbers. If you look at like Bad Company 2, I think that squad size worked out pretty well. So I don't know, maybe they're taking a cue from that. Maybe they're taking a middle ground. I don't know. But that's an interesting number, and it's got me thinking, what should our expectations for tomorrow's multiplayer reveal actually be? If we go all the way back 2 years ago to E3, what was it, 2010, we actually got to see the multiplayer demo of Caspian Border, and it was essentially a guy running around on Caspian Border. It looked really cool. They didn't really do a whole lot of anything. I mean, I think he had like an M16 and one other guy had an M4. But it didn't show a lot of the things that we know about Battlefield 3 now. And obviously that's the case. We've been playing this game for like 2 years, so we know there's a lot of differences that have happened to Battlefield 3 since it first released. But for the most part, I think the multiplayer reveal will be a little bit more structured than a lot of people are probably looking forward to. I don't think they're going to give us all the little details. I think what we'll basically see is a couple rounds maybe of the new game mode. I forget what it was called. It was like some sort of like conquest type thing. It was like a conquest blend with like commander, I don't know, something like that. But for the most part, I don't think we're going to see what we really truly want to see, and that's actual full footage gameplay, you know, in-depth looks at the classes and stuff like that. I think that'll be more reserved for whenever they start promoting the game a little bit later this summer. But it's good that EA doesn't like to hide the details. They're not scared like, you know, Activision, they were like, well, we don't want to show you Call of Duty Ghosts until, you know, late August. I'm like, wait, late August? You want me to pre-order your game, but you don't want to show us the multiplayer until, you know, late August? What, you know, I really have no reason to want to pre-order a game if we can't actually get a good look at it. So I'm really glad that EA is actually taking a step forward in doing this, because they're pretty open with their games. I know everyone likes to hate on EA, but when it comes to being straightforward about what you're getting, and again, I know there's going to be someone in the comments that's like, well, Battlefield 3 didn't deliver. They were really deceptive in their marketing strategy and stuff like that. I mean, all the EA hate aside, at least they're showing us something of the multiplayer. So I expect it to be really structured, though, guys. I want you guys to realize not to get your hopes up a ton. There will be stuff to talk about tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. So I can assure you that if you tune into all the, you know, the big 5 or 6 Battlefield channels that you like to watch, hopefully I'm one of them. Yeah, you know, no big deal if I'm not. I'll just go cry in a corner somewhere or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm sure if you tune into one of our channels, you'll see tons of different stuff of us talking about, you know, what we thought about the new stuff. Because, you know, let's face it, I have a hard time resisting talking about this stuff because I really like Battlefield. You guys obviously know that because I post plenty of Battlefield content. But when it comes to new details and rumors and just talking about theories on what's going to be what, I get really excited by that stuff. It's a lot of fun to me. I think that's probably the reason why I started YouTube, honestly, was because I just like talking about games. I used to go to forums when I was younger and talk about new releases, and now, you know, this is like the new medium. Back in the day, it was message boards, you know, theorizing what the next gun was going to be in the new Battlefield or the new Call of Duty, and that was back when like Call of Duty 2 was big. But now we have YouTube and we can talk about it in video. So just look at it as a giant conversation, guys. So, you know, depending on what they reveal tomorrow, I'm sure I'll talk a little bit about it. But I'm pretty excited. I don't think they're going to show us a ton, but it's going to be nice to get that first little taste, you know, that first little tease of what's to come in Battlefield 4. And with those screenshots that I saw, I mean, I got to say, I was skeptical, but on the flip side, I was impressed because I was like, okay, this looks like they might actually be pushing it. If you look at some of those environments, you know, those big Chinese landscapes, it's like those big, you know, obviously in some sort of Chinese city with the big skyscrapers and stuff like that. Like, it's had me thinking all day, you know, how on earth are they going to integrate that? Are you going to be able to go in all these buildings? Are you going to have flags on the outside as well as up in a building similar to like Sharkey Peninsula? I would love it if they had like, you know, 7 or 8 of those buildings. I mean, it would make it so that you would definitely have to have higher player count servers, but it would be a lot of fun. So tons of stuff to think about, you know. Hopefully you guys are tuning in tomorrow. I think the press conference is what? I think it's at noon Pacific. So, you know, it's pretty early on in the day during the workday, but I will keep an eye out and an ear open to whatever I hear and see, and hopefully I will see you here sometime tomorrow. And if you missed my past videos, here is a chance to catch up, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.